Good morning, grade 1. It is Mrs. Atherton, and I'm really excited to read to you a new book that I actually just bought for my boys. It's called The Gruffalo's Child, and my boys are absolutely enjoying the Gruffalo, and they asked if there was any books that were similar or like the Gruffalo, and I said, actually, there are. And so I ordered The Gruffalo's Child, and we've been reading it ever since. So this is a brand new book to us. I think we got it last week, and so I'm excited to share it with you guys because I really like the Gruffalo, and so I knew that I would really like The Gruffalo's Child. So while I have a little something to ask you to think about while I'm reading. So the Gruffalo and the Gruffalo Child are very similar, and I would like for you to think about some of the similarities between them. So similarities means some things that are the same or close to the same. So I want you to think of some of the ways these two books are the same, and then some of the ways that these two books are different. So while I'm reading, if you could just maybe think about that, we'll discuss it after I read it. The Gruffalo's Child. The Gruffalo said that no Gruffalo should ever set foot in the deep, dark wood. Why not? Why not? Because if you do, the big bad mouse will be after you. I met him once, said the Gruffalo. I met him a long, long time ago. What does he look like? Tell us, Dad. Is he terribly big and terribly bad? I can't quite remember, the Gruffalo said. Then he thought for a minute and scratched his head. The big bad mouse is terribly strong, and his scaly tail is terribly long, and his eyes are like pools of terrible fire, and his terrible whiskers are tougher than wire. One snowy night when the Gruffalo snored, the Gruffalo's child was feeling bored. The Gruffalo's child was feeling brave, so she tiptoed out of the Gruffalo cave. The snow fell fast, and the wind blew wild. Into the wood went the Gruffalo's child. Aha, aho, a trail in the snow. Who is this trail, and where does it go? A tail poked out of the log pile house. Could this be the tail of the big bad mouse? Out slid the creature. His eyes were small, and he didn't have whiskers, no, none at all. You're not the mouse, not I, said the snake. He's down by the lake, eating Gruffalo cake. The snow fell fast, and the wind blew wild. I'm not scared, said the Gruffalo's child. Aha, oh ho, marks in the snow. Whose are these claw marks? Where do they go? Two eyes gleamed out of a treetop house. Could these be the eyes of the big bad mouse? Down flew the creature. His tail was short, and he didn't have whiskers of any sort. You're not the mouse, to who, not I, but he's somewhere nearby, eating Gruffalo pie. The snow fell fast, and the wind blew wild. I'm not scared, said the Gruffalo's child. Aha, oh ho, a track in the snow. Whose is this track, and where does it go? Whiskers at last in an underground house. Could this be the home of the big bad mouse? Out slunk the creature. His eyes weren't fiery, his tail wasn't scaly, his whiskers weren't wiry. You're not the mouse. Oh no, not me. He's under a tree drinking Gruffalo tea. It's all a trick, said the Gruffalo's child, and sat on a stump where the snow lay piled. I don't believe in the big bad mouse. But here comes a little one out of his house. Not big, not bad, but a mouse at least. You'll taste good as a midnight feast. Wait, said the mouse, before you eat, there's a friend of mine that you ought to meet. If you'll let me hop onto a hazel twig, I'll beckon my friend so bad and big. The Gruffalo's child unclenched her fist. The big bad mouse, so he does exist. The mouse hopped into the hazel tree. He beckoned and then said, just wait and see. Out came the moon. It was bright and round. A terrible shadow fell on the ground. Who is this creature so big and strong? His tail and whiskers are terribly long. His ears are enormous and over his shoulder, and he carries a nut as big as a boulder. The yelled the Gruffalo's child. The mouse jumped down from the twig and smiled. Aha, oh ho, prints in the snow. Whose are these footprints and where do they go? The footprints led to the Gruffalo's cave, where the Gruffalo's child was a bit less brave. The Gruffalo's child was a bit less bored. And the Gruffalo snored and snored and snored. Okay, so one of the similarities that I noticed between the two books is that it had key phrases that were repeated over and over. And that's why I really like this book, is I like that it has key phrases that are repeated over and over. And one of the key phrases in the Gruffalo's child is when the Gruffalo says, aha, oh ho, prints in the snow. So that's a key phrase that's repeated throughout this book. One of them. There's a few. And there's key phrases that's repeated in this book, and one of those is a Gruffalo. What's a Gruffalo? A Gruffalo. Why didn't you know? And so that is repeated throughout the book. So whoever you're listening with, this read aloud with, or maybe you are listening to it by yourself, you can discuss that with either with yourself or with someone who's listening to this read aloud with you. If you forget what the Gruffalo book is about, you can just click back on this video and that'll take you to my YouTube page, and the Gruffalo read aloud is there. So that will kind of refresh your memory. And like always, if you are looking for something that to do, you can definitely do a story map to the Gruffalo's child or a retell. And you could do the retell verbally, or you could sit down and write a retell. So I look forward to hearing some of your answers between the differences and the similarities. You can send me a video. You can email me, or your teachers, Mrs. Kitchen and Mrs. Mortensen, would love to hear what you think, kind of comparing these two books. Also, if you do a story map or a retell, we would also love to see those too. So I hope you enjoyed the book. It's one of my personal favorites, and I hope to see you guys all really soon. I miss seeing you all. I miss seeing your smiling faces and hearing all your stories, and I hope to see you guys really soon. So have a great week. Bye.